Welcome, everybody, to We Geek Podcast. Today is August 30th. My name is Adam. I'm joined by my good friend Logan.
Happy birthday to me.
Happy birthday, dude.
Yeah, man. 30th.
Oh, the big 3-0.
I'm just 29 this year.
Oh, okay. Then why'd you say 30th?
Because it's the 30th.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
That's alright. That's alright.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you just turned 29.
Yeah, I think it's 2017, right?
Yeah, it is 2017.
Yeah, so 29.
Well, you're not there yet. You're not 30 yet. So.
Not quite. I don't feel any different than I did at like 20, though.
I'm telling you, once you hit 30, that's when it really starts to go downhill.
Yeah, that's what I keep hearing. That's why I never tell anybody at work how old I am.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. So how's your week been, man?
Same old. Just work, and that's pretty much it. Between I don't know where I've seen more fire this week, Game of Thrones or Monday Night Raw.
Oh, okay. See, I only saw the Alexa Bliss match for Raw.
Oh man, you have got to go watch the Reigns Cena promo.
Oh, I saw parts of that.
Oh my god, sit and watch the whole thing. By the end of it, I was sitting there going, I don't have a John Cena shirt.
Oh, wow.
That's how good it was. He just, everything that, it was great. It was weird and awesome to actually see Cena be the voice of the fans.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually...
Oh, I love how meta he is now.
Yeah, and he went after it. I mean, he got, holy shit. Just how he tore Reigns up was oh man, it made you remember, like, oh wait, this guy's actually really good.
Oh yeah. Yeah, from what I remember seeing, he was basically like, I'm here to help you. like I'm here for a reason. Because you couldn't cut it, basically. That
was what was great. What was the line? It was like, I keep having to come back and do this part-time because you can't do your job.
Right. Yeah, it was great.
I think my favorite line, though, was him calling Reigns, what was it, like a corporate created John Cena bootleg.
Right.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Hey, you finally cut a good promo. It took you 5 years, but you finally cut a good promo. He just fucking tore him apart. It was oh man. And to watch Roman try to be on that level, if we can't send a message to corporate that, like, no, we really hate this guy, he did it himself. Because he was just kind of embarrassing himself.
He's so stiff.
And just it was the same. It was nothing interesting. It was like, yeah, Cena, well, you're just a part-time punk-ass bitch. I'm like, oh, that's so original. Nobody said that before. What else you got? Nothing.
Right.
He had nothing else.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I gotta watch it.
Definitely
gotta watch it.
It's so good. It is so good. I hated it in parts because I was like, God, that's right. This guy he is that good.
Yeah, he really is. I started watching when I, ever since I started watching again, I've really liked his stuff. And ever since I've started watching again, he's been putting people over. I think he tried to do Rusev, but I just think that the company didn't want Rusev to go over.
I think there was a whole lot of, a lot of Rusev's problems stemmed from him and Lana. and
Right.
how like that, like he was
They
really
got
good
married.
he was really good at go places with that, and then they were like, okay, you guys are in a storyline where you're not together, and TMZ has a picture of you two in bed together with her wearing an engagement ring.
Right.
Yeah, like that. And
Yeah.
and I think that was the start of just like
Mhm.
there was just a clash between him and The Office over it. Just
Oh yeah. The beginning of the end. For
yeah.
him. Oh yeah. Um. Well, before I get into what I've been doing this week, we should probably talk about Houston.
Yeah.
Um.
I
You know
mean,
some organizations that we could give to, right?
yeah. Some of the more local ones are the more specialized ones. I mean, everybody knows Red Cross, redcross.org.
Right.
There's Global Giving, and I'm pretty sure the websites for all these are .org, or just Google them real quick.
Mm-hmm.
There's Global Giving, there's Feeding Texas, and there's one called Portlight, Portlight, which I hadn't heard of before, but they specialize in dealing with seniors and people with special
Mm-hmm.
needs, and I thought they in particular deserved a shout out, because a lot of these charities have more higher profile kinds of well, just profile, but
Mm-hmm.
something like that would be great. And of course, Give Blood, especially in, I mean, their blood banks are almost always running on a shortage, but especially in a time like this, go find whatever's local. I know down there is what is it, One Blood, that's down in Orlando.
Yeah.
And then just anywhere, just find whatever it is local. I know Red Cross does a lot of those buses everywhere. Find, and especially give locally. Local shelters, they they'll. I hate to make this sound like a business, but they don't have as much overhead as something like Red Cross. So if you're worried about, you want more of your money to go directly to aid, the local charities and shelters are are a are a better bet for that. But just give, just help. It's sad, and it's just horrifying to see so much of a city that size just completely washed out. It's
Yeah.
If nothing else, it makes you stand back and say, "Oh yeah, we don't really run this place."
No. Yeah. Yeah. No. Drop of a dime. That kind of weather can just steamroll a town, city, whole area, whole coastline. Like I even saw that like Booker T and his family were there.
Yeah, that's the thing. Something like this doesn't worry about, oh well, they're famous, oh well, they're this or they're that. If you're in the
Right.
path of this, it's gonna wreck you.
Oh yeah.
And I
Oh
just
yeah.
I living where I did in Florida, Sarasota we saw our fair share of near misses. We never really got hit. The closest we ever came, I think, was Charlie back
Yeah.
in, what was it, like 03, 04, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it gave us just like a mild taste of that. We had a couple streets flooded out, but not anything near like this. I have no real frame of reference for what all these people are going through and what's happening over there. So just give what you can. And if you're in the area and you want to volunteer, there's untold opportunities, just because everybody over there needs help. And
Oh yeah.
my hat's off to not just the first responders or any of the official personnel there, but all the people who just got in a boat and went over. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's you want to put all the everything aside and look at what makes us the place that we ought to be. That's it. It's that spirit right there, and my hat's off to all of those people who are that brave and that selfless. God bless them.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, it's crazy. I've been paying attention to the news and watching it, and it's just insane. The devastation, and like I saw that CNN said like Houston police made 3,400 rescues there. picking up people on boats and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there was no mandatory evacuation order given, and we can go back and forth on that. But you look at, I mean, think about all the traffic snarl that would have caused. I mean, think about regular rush hour traffic. Now imagine you're evacuating Houston. Houston's a big fucking city. So you're trying to get all those people on the interstate when this happens. The death toll would have been, who even knows how much higher.
Right. Oh yeah, absolutely. It's crazy. Well, there's no real way to transition out of that, as these things go. But what we'll do. Okay, so yeah, I guess we'll just go into kind of what my week was. I've been busy, dude. I've been working like crazy, but I've also got into an RTS kick. Did I talk about that last week?
I think maybe a little bit.
Okay. So I went down the rabbit hole.
Oh boy, here we go.
Yes. Started playing Starcraft Remastered, which was fun.
Yeah.
With my buddy. It's free if you want to go play Starcraft. It's on Blizzard's website. The Remastered is, I think, $11 if you want that.
Oh,
but
hell.
the first one's free. The one that came out years ago. Started learning that, and I realized how crazy it is. Like, you have to be a crazy person to play that game. How just my buddy who plays it, he played competitively, but not professional or anything like that. And I started building my stuff. He starts building his stuff. 5 minutes go down. He has all these expansions, all this area, all these units, and I'm sitting there like, what do I click now? Just like such an idiot. So he suggested StarCraft 2. So I got that, and the single player for that's really fun. Like story missions and stuff like that. It's a lot more streamlined. You can control a lot more characters at the same time. You don't have to like do a bunch of hotkeys and stuff. Then I went overboard and got Civ 6.
Oh, you want to talk about a rabbit hole, man.
Yes.
I love the Civ games, but I've never had the patience because like one game will take you hours if you're playing it right.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I went crazy. And I got another game because I got a code for it, but I haven't played it yet. And the only reason I got it was because of I watched Total Biscuit's stream of a StarCraft mod called New Horizons.
Okay.
The game is called Stellaris. It's on Steam, and it is how do you explain it? It's a 4 times. It's Stellaris is a 4 times grand strategy game set in space, and it's set around space exploration, managing an empire, diplomacy, warfare, and other spacefaring civilizations. Now, describing that, you might think Star Trek.
Kind of.
Yes, and that's the mod that I downloaded for it. I haven't played any of it yet, but it's called Star Trek New Horizons. The mod's completely free, and it completely overlays the game where you're dealing with 50 different races.
Okay.
The amount of stuff in it. There are, hold on just a second, let me go ahead and bring it up for you. I can tell you all about it. There are 5 unique strategy galaxy maps, 50 plus pre-scripted Star Trek canon races with animated portraits, full ship sets for Earth, Klingon, Romanian, Cardassian, Union, all of basically the races you can think of.
Nice. Pirate
and space alien ships, more than 250 unique ship models, unique era mechanics, including all of the Star Trek eras, everyone that's existed. New weapons, shields, special effects, 300 plus race-specific weapons, 200 plus new components. Like, the list goes on and on and on and on and on. And you can play through all the different eras of Star Trek with, like, they're all story modes and everything else. It's basically the best Star Trek game that's ever been created. And it's not created by anyone. It's just a mod. So I'm looking to dive into that one. Yeah, I've just been ever since I got the PC, I'm like, well, first-person shooters are fantastic on it. They're great, but I don't know, I was itching for something I can't do on a console. And RTS is where it's at.
Yeah.
These strategy games.
Nice.
I don't know if Civ is on console, but
I don't think so.
I don't think it is either. Yeah.
Not for many years. I think one of the old Civs was.
Yeah, I think like Revolution or something like that is.
Yeah.
Which is cool. I mean, I would love like a Civ game on the Switch. That would be fantastic. But yeah, no, I've been loving it. I don't know why I've gone down this rabbit hole of RTSs, but that's what I've been doing. And by the time this comes on, I'll be messing around with the Destiny 2 beta. Oh, and I tried Heroes of the Storm. That was the other one.
Cool.
The Blizzard game.
Yeah.
Have you heard of it?
Yes, I think.
It's okay, so it's one of Blizzard's. It's a free game.
Okay.
That's why I've tried it. But it is a MOBA. It is their MOBA.
Okay.
Yeah, it is their Dota 2 or League of Legends. So and it's ironic because it all comes back to Warcraft 3, where Dota was modded from. And so basically, it's Diablo, Overwatch, Warcraft, and Starcraft, all their heroes and villains, and you go down 3 lanes. And me and my buddy tried it the other night, and it was fun. Challenging to play with just 2 people versus all AI. I wish we had 2 other real players. We haven't jumped the ship to playing with other people yet because we know we would get murdered.
Right.
Yeah. And the other thing I've been playing, of course, is Battlegrounds. That's kind of been all the other things are new things that I've tried. Battlegrounds have been the thing we've been pretty much playing any chance we get because that game is just insane. It's now the most played game on Steam. Yeah, it overpassed Dota 2.
Wow.
For players. That's insane.
Yeah.
That is absolutely insane, and it's not even out yet.
That's always the best part of every story about Battlegrounds. It's like you tell the most amazing things, and then you just have to go like, oh yeah, and it's not actually out yet. Like,
oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's crazy. It's so much fun, and I can't wait for it to come on consoles. We all know it's coming to Xbox, and even though Microsoft doesn't want to admit it will be coming to PlayStation probably next year, but
yeah.
I can't wait for people to get their hands on this game because it is just a blast, and it's fun. And then when you die, you get right back, you go again, and I don't know, it's cool. It's a lot of fun. But I think we're coming up against a break.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when we get back, we'll talk more. We'll get into some news. Again, you're listening to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM, and we'll see everybody in a minute. Welcome back to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM. Before we get into the news, there's one game I did leave out, just so I do sound like a crazy person of how many games I've tested this weekend that were RTS or strategy bound. Okay, so I've talked about Total Biscuit a million times, and he's one of the reasons why I've been playing a lot of these strategy games, because I just dig his streams. When he gets into it, and he goes in depth, and he makes those games, just sought after. So I saw him do a stream of Total War Warhammer 2, which comes out at the end of September, like exactly a month from now, like at the very end of it. And the game, have you ever played a Total War game?
I have not.
I have not either. I've never been able to play one because I've never had a PC that would handle it because of all the soldiers on the battlefield.
Yeah.
But if you've never played a Total War game, it's essentially you set up battles. I don't know the older games because I've never played them, but I started watching his stream Warhammer 2, and there's a campaign which is, I don't know. Let me also say this: Warhammer is a franchise that I don't know. I know almost nothing about. Nothing Jon Snow, pretty much. But from what I do know is that it's where Blizzard got their idea for Warcraft, which makes sense because it's orcs and humans. Warhammer 40K is where they got their idea for Starcraft. It's almost identical.
Right.
I think they probably got sued at some point for it. So that's, and I've had friends who've done the Warhammer stuff. It's the figures where they paint them and it's a workshops game. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yes. And I have no experience with any of that. I've always seen it and I thought that looks so fucking cool, but I saw it as a kid and I thought that's way too expensive. There's no way I could afford anything like that. Right. I can barely get an action figure out of my parents. So it always just looked cool to me. And so anyway, so I'm watching a stream of Warhammer 2 and it's a campaign, and Warhammer 2, it's not orcs and humans. It's like an army of rat people. There's an army of lizard people, they have dinosaurs and mounts and raptors and all these crazy fantasy creatures, dark elves, and a bunch of other just fantasy classes that I've just never seen before. And so it's not just like you're setting up your armies of, 20 men here, 20 men here, or I'm sorry, not 20. It's more like 200, 100 here, 50 here. 30 there. You're setting up your battalions. You're setting up, your special heroes on the battleground, and then you kind of go to war. And it's a strategy game where you send in like 50 men flanking from the left that might have spears. You have your 4 rows of all archers that send in the arrows, and so like think of it like that. It's like playing a war, and you're sending your men into battle, and you can zoom in all the way down to the ground and watch the battle happen, or zoom up so it's all top down. And watching him play looks so cool because the rat army has all this nasty weaponry and they're just, it's a very wild way to play, just frantic. And that's kind of how I play, these kind of games. Because I don't know what I'm doing, but that's kind of the genius of that race is it's so frantic. You can just go willy-nilly and literally just throw armies at them because they regenerate so fast. Where if you play like the humans or the elves, you have to be way more strategic. So anyway, it was just fun to watch, and I thought that looks amazing. That looks awesome, and I won it, and then I realized that he was previewing the game. It doesn't come out until next month. Okay. And that's when I saw that it was Total War Warhammer 2, so I thought, oh, there must be a first one, and I looked, and apparently it got like PC Gamer's number 35 of all time video games. So wow, damn. I saw the reviews, it looked amazing, so I downloaded it, and that one is the one with the orcs and the humans and the normal Warhammer races. Campaign, it's got like, there's all these I know if anyone's listening that is into Warhammer probably hates me right now because I'm butchering all their races and stuff, but there's like a vampire race and all this other crazy stuff. They all have their own monsters, their own heroes, things that I don't think are just like made up for the game. They're clearly like in the lore of Warhammer. Their mounts are dragons and all this other stuff, and so I just kind of went in and did a I didn't do the campaign or story mode yet. I just kind of went in and did like a sandbox game just to kind of see what it was like, and I got just owned immediately because there's certain soldiers you have to set up against their soldiers. You have to look at what they're fighting with first, and then there's a lot of stuff that I need to learn, but it is a lot of fun.
Nice.
Yeah, I've been having a ton of fun with it. And the thing is, when after playing a game like that, when watching something like Game of Thrones, there needs to be a Game of Thrones Total War game. There just has to be. Or at least a mod. I know there's a mod for the older games, but I really hope someone mods the Warhammer game for a Game of Thrones one, because it is just insane. Like, we're watching last week's episode, and you see the different armies line up and stuff like that, and you're like, yes, that's like the opening of Game of Thrones over the weekend. That's exactly what Total War is when you're setting it up and you're surprising them and all that other stuff. It's so much fun. But that was the other one that I've been testing out the last week or so.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, so that was it for what I've been playing. We do have some sad news, though, and I'll let you take it over.
Yeah, Toby Hooper. I've always said Tobe. I don't know if it's Tobe or Toby. I've always said Tobe. An awesome horror director. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Poltergeist. I think also the original Salem's Lot miniseries or TV movie, not the one with Rob Lowe, but the one before that, I think. Passed away at 74 this week, and they're saying it was natural. And that's young for that, isn't it? To go for natural causes at 74, that's wow. But just a fantastic bit of work, even just on those couple of things. I mean, Poltergeist and Texas Chainsaw Massacre kind of redefined the genres.
Oh yeah,
when they came out. I mean, TCM is just a spiritual ancestor of pretty much every horror film anymore.
Right.
And Poltergeist in its own right was iconic, and just damn,
Oh yeah.
I hate this stuff.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, we would have never got anything like The Conjuring or any of that other kind of stuff.
No.
If it wasn't for him.
No,
Yeah.
So he will be missed, man. Rest in peace.
Absolutely. We do got some other news this week here. We got some Hellboy news. I'll let you take these. This is cool.
Yeah. So Ed Skrein, which is another name I'm sure I'm screwing up, had been cast in the new Hellboy movie as Major Ben Daimio, and everybody got upset because in the comics he's a half Japanese, half Caucasian, half American, I think, and Ed Skrein is decisively not. And to his credit, he posted a thing the other day that was saying he had no idea the character's heritage, and he agrees that there needs to be better representation. It's not right for more white people to be cast in all of these originally diverse roles. So he is stepping aside, in his words, to ensure the role is cast properly. And
right.
I want to tip my hat to him for that, because
it's huge.
Yeah, for an actor to say, this is going to be a fairly decent size role in a franchise people really like, I'm going to pass so that it can be done right. That's big, man. That takes a lot of balls and decency. So good for him.
Yeah, I honestly hope he gets a bunch of phone calls now, not only from people obviously thanking him, but just giving him opportunities now.
Yeah.
Because that's huge.
Yeah. Good.
And
good for him. I had never heard of him before this. I've got to be completely honest. I'd never heard of him. And then I saw because I remember the outcry as soon as they cast him. I was like, oh yeah, like this one I get. They're right to be pissed. And for him to step up and say, you know what, you're absolutely right. Let's do this the right way. Good for him. I mean, we need more of that, because that's how we get things. That's how we get this to stop happening. Is for actors, and actors are always looking for work. Unless you're top of the A-list, you're always gonna be fighting for work. And for him to say, no, you know what, I'm gonna step aside and not take this job. That's
right.
That takes a lot of guts and a lot of courage, and good for him for doing the right thing.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. I completely agree, because he didn't have to do that. This, he might have a huge fan base somewhere, but like you said, I don't know. I've never seen him in anything before too, so this could have been like his big break.
Yeah.
And hopefully, he gets some phone calls, because that's awesome that he did that.
Definitely.
Yeah. God, we got some James Cameron saying some dumb shit.
On the flip side of this,
Jesus.
James, what the fuck, man? just did you? Okay, like we shouldn't have made a Wonder Woman movie because she's an object. James Cameron tried to defend. He really did try to be feminist by saying we shouldn't make movies about women who are already objects because Wonder Woman was an object already. I can't follow his rationale here at all. Unless he's just bitter because he thinks his female leads are better, which is some bizarre bullshit on its own. Like, I can't understand where he was coming from here. I really can't.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what to say. Like, didn't he just announce that we're gonna have the same bad guy in the next 16 Avatar movies?
Right, the same old grizzled white dude who's gonna be the villain, and
right.
James, and you know, can we for a minute remember that he made True Lies, which included that really awkward lap dance scene with Jamie Lee Curtis? Like, you know, don't throw stones, James. Just don't do it.
Yeah, yeah, that's what a fucking idiot. I mean, I don't know what to say about that. There's really nothing.
I think Patty Jenkins summed it up best when she just kind of said, "Look, James, in case you hadn't noticed, women are different, and I get it. You're not a woman, so maybe just chill the fuck out for a minute."
Yeah.
Like her post on this was very great and to the point, was of the idea of like, so wait a minute, you're saying we can only have one type of woman on screen? Do you not get how that's been the problem?
Right.
So I'm just why?
Yeah.
It's times like this that really make it hard to just stand up and say, we need to give, you know, so-and-so an opportunity, because then they turn around and do some shit like this. I'm just like, I don't know.
Yeah, he's an idiot.
This is exactly why we need more diversity, so that we don't have, you know, 1,200 James Camerons running around making movies with the same mindset. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
Don't get me wrong, I loved Aliens, but, you know, not... I don't, like, that's not... I don't get where the hell he got this from. Like, I don't understand... Like, his viewpoint seemed to be that unless a woman was, you know, put through absolute hell and toughened up and was not self-assured at the beginning but learned it through the process, like, I don't understand his logic in his statement. Like, I don't...
Maybe he's just bitter that his ex got that Oscar for... Was it The Hurt Locker?
I
mean, I don't even know. I don't even know, like, where does this come from?
Was that his ex? Was that Spielberg's?
I don't know. Was it Spielberg's ex?
I think it was Spielberg's, because wasn't...
Oh, I thought it was James Cameron's ex. Why did I thought that they were married?
I don't know.
Okay. Ignore what I said. No, that's his ex-wife. That's James Cameron's ex-wife.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
Kathryn
cool.
Bigelow.
My bad.
Yeah, I remember their two big movies were up for Oscars, and I remember she was the one that won.
Well,
and I remember that being like big news.
Yeah,
and it was an issue because like one of the articles was like James Cameron's ex-wife wins Oscar, and it's like, what? She has a name. She's her own person.
And there we see the problem yet again.
Yeah. It was a big to do back then. But
I want to see him start writing articles the other way, you know. And you know, I want him to start saying Kathryn Bigelow's ex says something stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Let's start writing them like that. It'd be fun.
Oh yeah. I don't know if it was, maybe it was Zero Dark 30 that it was for, but
yeah.
One of those films.
Yeah, I think it was. Hurt Locker. I think it was a Hurt Locker.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Both great films.
Indeed.
Awesome. Absolutely.
Yeah.
She did Point Break 2. I didn't know that.
There was a sequel?
No, the 1991 Point Break.
Oh, she did Point Break as well. I was like,
yeah, as well. Oh yeah, I didn't mean like 2.
I was thinking, well, back in the day, those were movies that you could have had. You could have told me like there was Point Break 8, and I would have believed you. Like,
right. Point Break 2 breaks harder. I don't know. Oh, she did Detroit, which was the new movie. I'm just looking at her list. There's a lot of things I didn't know that she did.
Interesting.
It's cool. But we are coming up to a break. Again, you're listening to We Geek Podcasts on the N.FM. When we get back, we will get into some crazy Batman news. Again, you're listening to We Geek Podcasts on the N.FM. We'll see you in a minute. Welcome back to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM. And this week, we're going to talk about how DC doesn't know what the fuck they're doing.
Oh my god, this just like, between the Batman and the Joker stuff and the other Joker stuff, and why do we have other Joker stuff if we're going to have Joker stuff? What in the hell is going on over there?
Yeah. I mean, there's not to get political, but there's usually when news hits the television that's crazy, it either has something to do with current day politics or DC and Warner Brothers in their whole DC universe, because it's like they're just throwing shit at a wall and seeing what sticks and what just. You hear the population go, "What are you doing?" and it changes. So I don't know. This Batman and Joker stuff. Where do we even start with this?
Well, I mean, it was great when Matt Reeves talked about how the Batman is going to be its own story and not connected to the DC film universe, and he then had to clarify it. And I believe his clarification, because I think what happened was I do think his words got twisted a little bit, just in the semantics of it. They were like, it's not going to be part of the DC film universe. What the hell? And he had to come out and say, no, it's part of the DC, like, canon and all that stuff. It's just going to be a Batman movie. There's not going to be crossover or anything.
Right.
But for a couple days, the headlines were just like, Batman not part of the DCEU. Or is it? Or is it not? Well, maybe it is. We don't fucking know. And DC and Warner Brothers don't either.
Right. Now, here's the thing. This is what apparently is happening.
Okay.
It is, like you said, it's not going to have like the same kind of tie-ins or crossover with the DC universe as a whole, and it would star a new actor as Batman.
Because they're pretty sure Affleck's not gonna. No wonder he fucking wants out. If this is, because I think we talked about this last week. The idea of like, is he just so used to being in charge that it's kind of a prima donna thing, or what? And I didn't want to go down that road because I didn't think, we could always be wrong, but, I think we both kind of agreed, like, no, it was just, it just wasn't a good fit for him. And the more we see about what's happening at Warner Brothers with all this mess, it's no wonder if he wants out and he's not happy, because everything they're doing is a fucking mess. They're fixing every film they make after they make it, and they've been making it worse. The only one that hasn't been screwed up has been Wonder Woman, and what a giant and I mean this a little sarcastically, but also seriously, what a giant surprise.
Right. Yeah, it's exactly. What I was thinking is going to happen, and this is just a far off theory, just stupid, because what if in Flashpoint they introduce Bruce Wayne's dad, right?
Yeah.
And he is the Batman, because in Flashpoint Batman, he was the Batman played by, what's his name? The guy from Watchmen, the comedian. In The Walking Dead.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Let's say he plays Batman in that movie as Bruce Wayne's father. They could easily do a Batman movie about him and the Joker of the Flashpoint universe. That way you could have your own little cool, weird Batman movie that is actually Bruce Wayne's dad, and tell that story.
Well,
and how all that went down.
Yeah, and it would explain why the current film Batman likes torturing people, because, Thomas Wayne Batman in Flashpoint just straight up shot people. Like, he played no games.
Right. And so that would be I would love that. Like, imagine getting that kind of movie. That would be awesome. And it would give them time to kind of like decide what they're going to do with Batman once, Ben Affleck leaves. I imagine they'll just have to recast him, and we'll have to, we've done this before. We've been down this road a million times. I don't think it's the end of the world. I do think that DC has to do we honestly reboot the DC universe with new actors, or do we try to keep fixing what has already been done?
I think you go back to square one. I think that after Flashpoint, maybe you keep some of the actors, like keep Gal, and I say keep Henry Cavill if you can, because I like him, and his Superman was not his fault. I will stand on that soapbox. We don't know anything really about how the other three are going to work yet, but give him a shot first.
Right, and that's the thing, is they could always do a soft reboot where it's not technically a reboot, but they just don't mention any of the other shit, and they don't let it get in the way of the story.
Exactly. Like, we just move on. It's shit that happened. We're just telling new stories now. Maybe there's a reference here and there. Maybe there's a monument or something, but it's not. It's not. It's more like how it kind of Marvel in a sense, but even less connected. Mm-hmm. Like how.
Well, it's how they did, honestly, DC, New 52, where all of Batman's history was still intact. It just was condensed to a certain time period.
Right.
And it wasn't technically canon until it was mentioned. And once it was mentioned, then it was canon. When he mentions breaking his back, suddenly all that Bane stuff is there. That's all they have to do, honestly. The Superman stuff, just make it, now they have a chance because Superman technically is dead right now. And if you've been paying any attention, he probably will come back soon, in the next movie. That's a way to rebirth his character and to make him more like Superman. And that's all they have to do.
Right.
And now they're getting other people to work on it, and we'll see. We'll see the next few years. So far, so good with Wonder Woman. I hope they can keep it up. I hope Justice League is great. I want these movies to do good. No one wants these movies to fail. And I don't know. I don't know. I got off track there, but I don't know. I think a Bruce Wayne's dad movie would be pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, Warner Brothers is 1 for 4 on these, because you could make an argument for 2, because Man of Steel, maybe.
Yeah.
Dawn of Justice, crap. Suicide Squad, crap. Wonder Woman, awesome. So you're 1, maybe 1.5 out of 4. Not a great batting average when you're spending this kind of money on every film.
Yes. And let's talk about the Jokers.
Now, one of these I'm actually very kind of interested in. The other one I'm not. What are your feelings on the Joker Harley Quinn spinoff?
I don't think that would work. I've never liked a Joker and Harley together. I get it. It's great for the animated series and stuff like that, but their own movie together? No, I don't want to see that.
Yeah.
I hated their scenes together in Suicide Squad. I don't like Jared Leto as the Joker. Margaret Robbie's great as Harley Quinn, but I like her better interacting with other characters, not as the puppet to the Joker.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think her character grows just her character is great when she's standing up for herself and she's like, fuck that guy. He screwed up my life. He made me like this, but I can be better. She's great as Suicide Squad and stuff like that. She was the best thing about that movie, I thought.
Agreed.
And it's a step back to be like, okay, now she's just going to be some pawn for the Joker and just be some, I don't know. I just don't like it. I don't know. I'm sure there's a bunch of fans out there that are going to love that movie, but not me.
No, I'm right there with you. This is not what I want to see. I'll say this in defense of Jared Leto. He commits to a role. I'll give him that. But
sure.
I mean, I think this was another case of look what they gave him to work with. Like, they didn't really even give him the Joker. They gave him, some street punk wannabe Joker. Like,
he seemed like someone imitating the Joker.
Right. It seemed like somebody today. It didn't seem like an updated version of the Joker. It seemed like somebody trying to do a modern day homage to what they thought the Joker was.
Oh yeah, it reminds me of a kid that grew up loving the Joker from the comics and then just became a fucking nightmare person and lived in Miami.
Right, yeah, pretty much.
With his sports car and a bunch of money and obviously like drug money or whatever. Like, he just looked like someone who just got off on Batman comics and Scarface, and suddenly he that's who he became as a person. Like, it's just there was a flash in that movie where for just a moment it looked like the Joker and Harley Quinn, and it was their flashback when he was in a suit and she was like Harley and he didn't have all the crazy tattoos, I don't think. And then it went away, and then you realized, I don't know, you realized what we were dealing with. And I don't know, I wasn't a fan of it. I think the Joker just, I don't know, there's been so many different variations of the Joker. I mean, even in the comics, we have 3 Jokers right now, I think.
Yeah. And
they're just so much better than and it's not his fault at all. It's definitely not Jared Leto's fault. It's what the creative people gave him. They were like, hey, this is what you got to do. Go be this. And I don't know. I didn't like it at all.
No, I don't want to see that Joker anymore. I want that Joker to go away, and we can pretend that it never, like, at least when people talk about how bad something like Batman and Robin was and like how kind of cringeworthy Schwarzenegger's Mr. Freeze was, at least he's kind of fun to bring up every once in a while. Like,
right.
That's like, it's like, oh my god, it was awful, but it's also kind of really funny. This was just awful. There's no reason to rehash this, because I really don't think there's an audience there is an audience that wants this movie, just not with these versions of these characters.
Right.
And that's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that. But in a bizarre twist, they've decided that they are going to also do a Joker origin story, which will not have Jared Leto in it. It's going to be directed by Todd Phillips, who did the Hangover movies, and he's going to co-write it with Scott Silver, who wrote 8 Mile, and it's going to be set in 1980s Gotham and be produced by Martin Scorsese.
I remember when this news broke. It was my day off. For some reason, I took a nap. I was up really late the night before, and so at this time it was the next day and it was the evening, and I don't know, I fell asleep. I was reading as I normally do. I remember waking up and I saw this on my phone, and I just said, shut up, and I just closed my phone. I remember going back to sleep like if it wasn't real. And I remember waking up after that, not too long after that, thinking it was just complete bullshit in my brain, like just like I was just dreaming of the most ridiculous thing. For some reason I thought Will Ferrell was a part of it. That was the only thing that was left out. But does it sound that far-fetched?
No, because
if I threw all that news at you and said, also, I don't know, Will Ferrell is the Riddler, you would be like, okay, that goes right along with it, because none of this makes sense.
Just imagine that phrase for a second. Okay, we're going to do a Joker origin story set in the 80s, written by the dude from The Hangover and the dude from 8 Mile, and the dude from Hangover is going to direct it, and Scorsese's going to produce it. Like, this is like somebody played a drunk game of Hollywood Mad Libs.
Yeah, pretty much.
And it's also kind of fucking perfect. Like, I'm really excited about this just because I'm looking at this like, I have no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah, sure, why not? I mean, that is better news than all the other DC stuff we heard. Ben Affleck not being a part of it, not being in the DCEU tied to it somehow or whatever. Jared Leto and Margot Robbie doing a part, like, all of that news is garbage. This is like, well, that is so crazy. It might work.
It just might. It actually just might work. I mean, hell, they can't really.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just saying, like, they can't really do much worse than they've been doing.
That's true. I did see a lot of backlash, though. A lot of people don't like the idea of the Joker's origin story because they like the idea that he's a mystery, and that makes him, they do not want the Anakin Skywalker prequel story to the Joker, and they don't want to know that. The idea of him completely making up his past is great, and I like that to a point. I'm on that side where it's like, I don't need this, but this is going to happen whether I like it or not. So, okay, I am in. That sounds crazy, but I don't know. It's like, it's just such a random mix of people.
Yeah. No, I can understand the idea there of just like, we don't want to, we like that we don't really know who he is and blah, blah, blah. These are people who have never read comics or watched the animated series. Like, we know what we believe to be the kind of canon Joker origin story. We know it. And there is an interesting story to be told there. Back up just a little bit to why he takes the Red Hood job, to where it goes bad, to kind of his rise, and have it, just kind of end with, the cliffhanger of the idea of there's a, have you heard about this crazy guy who's beating people up? They're saying he's this giant bat, and just cut to, Joker with that big wide ass grin as like, oh, now I've found my playmate,
right.
Cut. Like, that's a decent setup, because, we all know the story from there. The Joker and Batman are, arch rivals, right, greatest enemies, blah, 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 blah. So have it end, don't have them meet. Have that end with, like, oh, he's, the Joker's, risen up, and now he's head of his own gang, and, it ends, the big fight is him against, I don't care, whatever mob figure you want to throw in there for control of whatever group. And then, the tease of, we heard about this new guy, there's this giant bat that's beating up bad guys, and, let that be where it ends, because we can take it from there.
Right.
But I think that, it's like you said, we're gonna get it regardless, so at least let's make it fun.
Yeah, that's all we can do. All right, we're going to take a break. Again, you're listening to We Geek Podcast on N.FM. We'll see you guys all in a minute. Welcome back to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM. And I think that will do it for the movie news. We will now get into some TV news. There was some Titan news. Totally going to butcher her name. How would you say her name?
Anna Diop, I think.
Diop. That's it. Okay. Cast as Starfire. She was in 24 Legacy, which is, I believe, the new 24 show, right?
Yeah, the one they did with John Boyega.
Oh yeah. And the internet predictably loses their shit because she was African American, and
Right. How can a black girl play an orange alien? I don't understand how this works. Oh, Jesus Christ, people.
Wait until they find out about Gamora.
Oh my God, right. Imagine. just fucking imagine. Like, if these people who have never seen a red carpet event, who are like, wait a minute, who is that? Well, that's Gamora. Well, she's not green. Why isn't she green? Why did they have to pick a black woman to play a green girl? Oh my God, I hate people so much. I can't. You know, sometimes I think we should just pack up the internet and say we lost. You know, we've taken this thing and we broke it. We don't know how to play with our toys. We should put it away for a while. Yeah. I don't know. Like, I didn't see 24 Legacy, so I have no idea if she's gonna be good or not. Apparently, the whoever it is within Warner Brothers that is doing the show. I don't know exactly how the production on Titans works because it's going to be on their own streaming service, so but, you know, apparently they were impressed enough with that and her audition, and so they said, sure, she can do it, and okay, I guess people are upset with the idea of black being the new orange. I can't, I mean, I get it, you know, they're racist, awful people. But just let it go, man. Yeah. She's orange, for God's sake. Let it the fuck go.
Right. Yeah. Do you think they're going to go with the full green eyes where it eclipses the whole thing? Like all the white and everything? You know what I mean? Of the eye? Or do you think it will be just like the normal green eyes?
I think that's going to be a budgetary thing. I think maybe they'll go...
Like contacts or something?
Yeah, I think they'll do something where they're just like really green, but I don't think they'll go like full green.
That's what I was thinking too.
I think
I've been playing Starfire in the Injustice 2 game.
Yeah.
And she's great, especially for like new people. Like, she is fucking powerful. Nice. Easy to play, a lot of great moves, just a lot of fun to play. So the timing was kind of perfect for that news. Because it was her character just dropped, I believe, this month.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. So she's been a lot of fun. I don't know much about Starfire. I don't know much about Titans except for, like, you know, Nightwing and stuff like that. Her character is a total mystery to me.
Yeah, she's an alien. Really all I know is that she's an alien.
Yeah,
that's really it. So I look, I have no dog in this fight. I don't care.
Right.
I just want I'm only worried about when, you know, did they cast somebody who's going to be good? Yes. Okay. That's all is genuinely all I care about. I'm just so tired of this crap. It seems like every week we have to do this about something, and I'm just, you know, let it go, people. Let it go.
Yeah.
There are people here who are darker than your average Irishman. Let it go.
Right.
It's gonna happen. Deal with it. Move on. You know, go find something else. You don't like it, then, you know, you've said your piece. Just go away. You're not helping. Just shut up and go away.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Oh yeah. All right, so I think that's it for TV news.
Yeah, there wasn't really much this week.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Excuse me. We got some video game news. That kind of came and went because, so I guess there was a listing on Target's website that possibly outs it a Bethesda-developed Game of Thrones game, which sounds amazing. Target has recently come out today or yesterday and said that that's not true. Didn't give any explanation, just said nah, basically. So take that with a grain of salt. Take all this news with a grain of salt with the Game of Thrones Bethesda game. I'm surprised the developer didn't come out and say something. Because that would be the no, we're not working on that.
Well, and I think that's the more telling piece of news. That they didn't step up and say, no, we're not making a Game of Thrones game, because they're working on two, I think, unannounced titles. Like, we don't know exactly what they are.
And most people assumed it's Elder Scrolls they're working on, because they have come out and said we're working on Elder. Like everyone knows that's coming,
right? Like
but they wouldn't give a definitive, what it is or
right. Like stuff. That's not a surprise. Like it's one of those things of like, oh yeah, and then a couple of years after Elder Scrolls, we know we're gonna get the next Fallout game. It's not a mystery really.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking, they've got a pretty good track record with dragons already, so why not?
I think a Bethesda developed Game of Thrones game would be amazing, because Atlas had their last one and it wasn't that good. Even though I fucking love Atlas, it was not good. I think that a Bethesda style Game of Thrones game would be amazing.
Yeah.
That's the kind of open world stuff you want. I would love a Total War game. Like that's what I want. I want a Total War Game of Thrones game. But yeah, so I don't know. I hope they are working on it. I hope it's just one of those, like, just Target going, well, we got caught with our pants down and we can't really, we just gotta deny it, pretty much.
Yeah, because
until next year.
Right, yeah, because otherwise this is a weird, because the page was weird. Like, you saw the actual page. Like, it was kind of odd. Like, how it was...
Do you think it was someone just messing around, like, that worked for Target and was like, wouldn't this be cool? And then, like, a day later, someone was like, we went into Target's website and found this. And like, oh, shit.
Or, the only way that this makes sense as a hoax is if somebody decided to make a fake page and then send it out, like, oh, we saw this, blah, 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 and it, stayed up. So, that means that they've got to actually, because it was from the actual Target listings. Like, it wasn't a page that looked like it was from Target. No, it was actually a part of their website. So, that's a hell of a lot of work to do just for a stupid laugh. And it's possible. It's possible, but I think that it's something that happened and somebody screwed the pooch on that page being able to be seen.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I hope it's true, because that would just be awesome.
Yeah. Absolutely. Oh yeah, that'd be cool. And some Microsoft news: the Xbox One model has been discontinued.
Yeah, the original model. They haven't been new in stores in a while, but apparently the listing is now off the Microsoft shop website and everything. So you're gonna have to go with an S or an X.
Yeah, and both great choices. I know the S got 4K capabilities and everything too, right?
I don't think so.
I think the S does, yeah, right?
I know the X does. That's their Pro. I think the S is just like a Slim.
No, it's got 4K.
Does it?
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah, watch video 4K on your Xbox One S. It won't play games in 4K, but you can watch movies in 4K.
Well, but there's the difference. There's the difference between the S and the X is playing games in 4K.
Right. It says many who have experienced both HDR and 4K resolution say HDR makes a greater difference in how games look. You can play in HDR. So I don't know. Like, you can still. So it has high definition resolution for the games. So yeah, if you want the lower end model, get the S. If you have the big 4K TV and you need the 4K gaming, then get the I don't even know, Xbox One X.
Yeah.
One. I don't know.
I know, right?
What the fuck? Mark 6. I don't know. It sounds like Tony Stark.
Oh man, I was just gonna go there.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. But that's the bit of Xbox news this week. Secret of Mana 3D remake is coming to PS4 and Vita February 15th, 2018.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. I think Secret of Mana is one of those that's really underrated. Like, it's just it was kind of a big deal when it came out, because it was in the same vein of like, oh hey, look, an SNES RPG, and then it, like so many others, just kind of fell by the wayside. Like this and Breath of Fire and I mean, Chrono Trigger escaped that because it was so good, and you got Chrono Cross, which, take that however you want to, however you stand on that. But I really think Secret of Mana, and I mean, Secret of Mana had sequels, and if I remember right, wasn't Secret of Mana spawned from a Final Fantasy sequel?
You got me there.
I think it was supposed to be like it was supposed to be one, and then it kind of went off in its own direction. I may have that backwards.
Let's see here. Secret of Mana is a 1993 role action playing. It is the sequel to the 1991 game Shinken something or another, released in North America as Final Fantasy Adventure. So it was a sequel to Final Fantasy Adventure.
It was a sequel to a spin-off from the Final Fantasy franchise.
I knew it was called Mystic Quest. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew it was connected somehow.
Yes. I never played it.
I think it's part of the Classic bundle. I think it's part of the SNES Classic, I think.
Oh, cool.
If you want to double check me on that, because I think I was kind of surprised to see it on there, cause like pleasantly surprised, because it was one of those. It was like, oh, here's another SNES RPG, but it was also really good. They were strange. Like, there was, I don't know. I always thought, I guess because I was younger back then, like those were kind of the high art back then, were the SNES RPGs, like Final Fantasy and Secret of Mana and
it is. Yeah, it's on the list.
Nice. So there you go. Another reason to have the SNES Classic.
Yep. Oh yeah. Yep, and if you're one of the poor souls that couldn't get one, just go get a Retro Pie.
Yeah, right.
But you know what? Shocking though, Secret of Mana, why is it not on the Switch?
Because nothing's on the Switch right now, right?
Like, that's not true at all.
Well, so many. You even talked to yourself about how many games you're looking for that aren't on the Switch.
I just got a Mario XCOM game, so don't tell me there's no games on the Switch.
Well, I mean, I don't mean like no games like people used to throw around. Like, I mean, like none of this kind of stuff. Like
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So any of the older games and stuff like that, it's not there. It needs to be there.
Right.
Yes. This kind of stuff needs to be on the Switch. There's no Virtual Console, and that's where I think the thing is. I think they want to sell the Virtual Console version of it. But yeah, that's what was shocking to me. I was like, wait, it's coming on the Vita, but they're going to release it on a dead system, but not the Switch, when this wasn't originally a Nintendo game.
Yeah.
So that kind of chapped my ass, because I was like, I would love to play a remake version of that. That would be awesome. But I guess we'll find out next year when, or probably sooner than that. We'll probably find out Christmas time what their plans are for the Virtual Console, because that's the one major hole in the Switch right now.
No VC. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's the one pillar that's missing, because they have everything else. They have some great games coming out for it, first party, third party. They have some great games coming out for it. It's fun. They have indie games. They even have like mobile type games on it, if that's your thing, but they don't have Virtual Console, and that's the biggest freaking, and I imagine it has everything to do with these classic systems.
Yeah,
because they want to sell those.
Yeah, I would imagine so. But still, then put up some of the ones that aren't on this.
Yeah,
they're so, and I'm sure some of them are rights issues. It's probably why we won't see the Super Star Wars ones. There's probably
the Super Star Wars were all on the Wii and Wii U.
Yeah, but I wonder if maybe that was part of a deal that they had before the buyout.
That's true, before EA.
And then how all that transpired and everything. I think that's I don't know. I'm spitballing.
To be fair, we got Super Star Wars after the Disney deal on the PlayStation, so it's not out of the realm of possibility. But you're right. It all depends on what kind of deal they can make with Nintendo,
right,
to release it. So
yeah. I'm just thinking if maybe that was something that they had in development with the old deal before, like they made the deal with EA, but they still had to honor that commitment already or something like that.
Oh yeah, could be. Definitely could be.
But, I mean, we could get them. There's so many. If they could work with Disney on a deal and get... Because think of all the awesome SNES games that Disney owns the rights to.
Dude, they have to, yeah. Especially Aladdin and Lion King that are just amazing.
I mean, those were the big two. And I mean, even... Yeah. I mean, just... so many.
DuckTales...
Dude, give me that again. With the series relaunching and everything. I mean, why the hell not? I don't know. I mean, I guess Well,
they have the morning collection with all the DuckTale games and Chip and Dale and stuff, don't they?
Yeah, but isn't that through Capcom?
I think so. It's not on the Switch, which again I think has to do with the Virtual Console. That's the only thing I can think of. It's on everything else except for the Switch. And I can't help but think they're like not releasing any of these remastered old games because they're like, no, we're gonna sell them as the original. So I don't know.
Take that. I mean, I get it for the ones that are on the classics, but there's so many that aren't, and that's why I think it's a bigger issue, because if they could be on those, I think they would be, because they know they'd be selling points. Yeah.
Well, that's why everyone was shocked the Chrono Trigger wasn't on the classic. Like,
just so bizarre.
The big omission,
That's
to
yeah. I mean, everything else that wasn't there, I think that to me was the biggest. Like, why? Why was that not on there?
Oh yeah, but hey, we gotta take a quick break. When we get back, we will get into some more news and we'll get some topics. Talk about Game of Thrones. Again, you're listening to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM. We'll see you guys all in a minute. Welcome back to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM. And where should we go first with it? Should we do our video game topic, or should we go into SummerSlam and Game of Thrones first?
Let's do our video game topic. We'll try to save the spoilery stuff for the end of the show if we can.
Okay, sounds good. So what would you... Okay, so how do we phrase this? What we kind of wanted to talk about was, if we got our hands on a franchise, what would we do with it? What studio we would give to it? What kind of genre would be? Have you given any thought to this?
I keep... My biggest thing was, like, which franchise is my favorite. I got really hung up on trying to figure that out.
Yeah. Well, I have two, basically.
All right, what you got? Hit me.
Okay. So the one that... now, is Star Wars considered a video game franchise?
Sure, why not, at this point?
Okay. Yes. So, if I was given the rights to a video game, the Star Wars franchise, and I was EA, and I was sitting down, and I thought, okay, what would you do with this franchise? I would set it after Return of the Jedi. It would be a third-person action game. And you would tell from the perception of the someone within Thrawn's empire, basically. And it would be a third-person RPG. That's where I would set the time frame, because I can't think of a video games that take place in that time frame for Star Wars.
No, I don't think we have one. I mean, there's parts of Battlefront. I think Battlefront 2 is going to, isn't it?
Yes, it now is.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Battlefront 2 is kind of exactly what I was thinking. Now that I think about it. Okay, scratch that. The franchise that I've been playing a lot this week, or we talked about it earlier, the Warhammer one. I would love a Game of Thrones Total War game. I think it would be perfect. I talked about it earlier, how when you set up the battles and it just, you have your armies and you have your heroes, and it just goes together like peanut butter and jelly. You have your Lannisters, you have Tywin and all the Lannisters, you have the Starks, you have the Dothraki, you have basically play the Game of Thrones in that game, and you could set up such an epic campaign, pick whatever side you want, and then go from there and try to get the throne. I just think there's so much storytelling you could do with that, and I think Game of Thrones would be the perfect franchise to do that with. What do you think?
Interesting. That would definitely be a take on it we haven't seen yet. I mean, yeah, we had the console game a while back, which did not work well, really.
Right.
And then we had the Telltale game, which by all accounts has been great. I have it. I have not played it.
The reviews were mediocre. They said it was a little bit boring. Nothing exciting happens from it. Surprisingly, the same thing got from Guardians of the Galaxy, which you think would be the easiest for them to do.
Right? But I don't know. Was it because there wasn't enough action, I guess?
I don't know. The Guardians of the Galaxy one is just getting mediocre reviews. I think the ones that are doing really great, like for example the Batman one, people love the season 1 and now season 2 episode 1 or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's because the characters are not the same. They basically were given the liberty to do whatever they wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about how like the Penguin looks, not like the Penguin in the comics. He looks more handsome and stuff like that. I don't mean that. I mean complete changes for characters, and I won't spoil anything, but just totally different direction of a lot of their characters. And I think it's that gets people going, you know what, I've seen a million Batman stories. Everyone knows his origin. Everyone, it's rare to find a new and exciting Batman story.
Right.
And so people gravitate towards that because they like Batman and because it's new and they don't know what direction it's going to go in. I don't think they had the rights to do that with Game of Thrones. It has to stay within I think it stayed well within the canon. Same with a lot of the other ones. Or the Guardians of the Galaxy. I think it stays well within the canon. I think Marvel probably was like, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. You can't use this. You can't use that. That was probably what happened. But a Game of maybe it's just because I'm in Game of Thrones mode right now, and I'm rewatching the series, and all the little things that they're revealing now it's so threaded throughout everything that it's just, I'm surprised I didn't catch on this fast. I think it was maybe a season ago that they hinted at it with the flashback scenes and stuff, but it's such a cool story. And now that, even just watching the show and not reading the books, you feel like you understand that world enough to where geographically where everything's at, where everyone's mindset is at, where the houses stand, why they're defending who they're defending, what these wars are really about, and who holds power, and all the little things in between would make such an epic Total War game. And I hate describing it because it's so hard to describe what Total War is if you've never heard of it or seen it. But you are directing epic battles pretty much. You have your men and your heroes and everything else lined up on the battlefield, and you decide what they do, how they attack. It's very strategic, how you rush them in, what group of people go against their group of people. And it's like watching Braveheart or any of those movies where you see all of the soldiers line up and they kind of get directed where to go. That's what it is. Nice. And Game of Thrones is perfect for that. But yeah, so any franchise that you can think of that you would take and give a spin, like I just took the Total War one and gave it Game of Thrones. Is there anything that you would do similar to that, or would you take like a Mario character and do an XCOM game?
Look, man, that's something that I never would have seen coming. When they're like, what can we do with Mario? Let's make an XCOM game. The fuck?
Oh yeah, and I'll be talking about that next week. That should be really interesting.
Nice.
But yeah, no one saw that coming, and it's got great reviews. People love it. It's so different. You know, we get the same Mario, it seems like, every year. You're jumping on heads. This one seems really different with you turning into frogs and everything else, the one coming out at the end of the year, or actually just like 2 months from now.
Yeah.
This is a welcomed sidestep that's not another party game, you know.
Exactly.
It's not, yeah, it's not Mario Party, it's not Mario Tennis, it's not Mario Kart. It's like, oh, here's a Mario XCOM game. Okay, and they got all these different kind of. Did you see they have like, what's that Xbox game? Sam, he was like a spy hunter. What is it?
I know exactly what you're talking about. It was Sam something. It was like Sam Dangerous or something like that.
Oh, this is gonna bother me.
Yeah. Oh hell. Hang on, I'm gonna have to look that up. But yeah, I know what you meant.
Yeah, it had I forget his name. It was Was it Sam Fisher?
Oh, are you talking about the Splinter Cell games?
Splinter Cell, that's it.
Okay,
yes.
Damn, that's so not where I was going with that.
Okay, so they have like a Splinter Cell, like rubber ducky in the game. And its name is Sam something or another, but it has the 3 eye things, you know, that it has. So I don't know. It's a lot of Easter eggs. It just, I don't know. It looks like a lot of fun. But yeah, is there any franchise? What would you do? Give it a franchise?
Cause this is the part that I'm not good at, and it was Serious Sam that I was thinking of. That's what the hell.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I was like, Sam. Oh, that's a good name. I keep thinking. I keep coming back to Final Fantasy, and I don't know why. Because I don't think I would do anything different than what they've. I mean, tweaks here and there, but I like where Square is going. I don't know. Because I was gonna say Sonic, and then we got Sonic Mania, and I was like, well, shit, that's pretty much what I would have done.
Have you played any of it?
I haven't, but like,
it's so good.
There's one guy at work that's been playing it, and he freaking loves it.
Oh yeah, it's made for the Switch, literally made for the Switch. I am so in love with that game. Played through it, and like some of the boss battles are just so weird and different, and yeah, it's all this total nostalgia trip. I'm having a blast with that. But yeah, no, yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I just take a sidestep. What video game franchise would you like to make into a movie or television series?
Ooh, now here's one that we could go with.
Yeah. I mean, I can tell you mine right off the bat.
Go for it. What you got?
I want Blizzard to make a Netflix deal. I want tomorrow Blizzard and Netflix announce a deal where they're going to release animated television shows or whatever for Netflix. 10, 13 episode seasons. Do Warcraft, do Starcraft, do Overwatch, do Diablo, do the whole fucking thing.
Yeah.
And do it kind of how they do with Marvel, where they'll have a season of Warcraft, a season of Starcraft, and then they'll do a season 2 of Warcraft, then a season, and then they'll do, I don't know, Overwatch, and then a season 2 of Starcraft, and then more builds, and then who knows, maybe somewhere down along the line you get a Heroes of the Storm where their worlds cross over. But seriously, especially Warcraft, a Warcraft CGI show would be amazing.
Yeah, that I would be all on board for that.
Yes. Oh my goodness, because there's so much lore there. They actually just patched the game this week for, like, the demon, the Legion's world is now above the planet, and you got to go fight. I don't know. It looks cool. It's tempting to go back and play through it. Yeah. So what would you do for a TV show or movie?
I always come back to it, like, kind of in the same vein, but Elder Scrolls. There is just, and again, I think it has to be a show because it's just such a massive. There is so much there, and so many. I mean, aside from just the main stories, what about, like just off the top of my head, thinking about like the Blades from Skyrim, like there's a fun little offshoot story. There's 6 episodes there. That's where I'm like, there is so much lore, and you can have your main series that follows. Obviously it's not going to follow the game chronology because they're all different protagonists and whatnot, but
right.
follow like maybe like a central kind of unifying story, at least for a couple seasons. You could turn each game into a couple seasons of a show, and then as you establish, here's this, here's the Daedric realm, here's these other continents, have the season in between be like spin-off series within the world that you set up for that season. Like the first season will be set wherever. I'm bad on my old Elder Scrolls lore, but set it wherever, and then after season 1 you have like the side story, which is something else. You've introduced it in this show, but there's it's like, oh, we met this character and we learned a little about where they come from or whatever, and this sounds really interesting. So that's your, do like do like half a season, do like a 6 episode like spin-off season in between your main seasons. I think that would be, because there's so much content there. There's so much lore, and there's so much you could do with it, and it's way too big for films.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. And we've talked about this for weeks now, for months now. It seems like I've totally gone to the storytelling of television over movies any day now. When a franchise is announced, I'm like, yes, please be a series, because I don't care how grandiose it can be for an hour and a half. I want it to be 12 hours at least, and that's the only way you can tell a story. That's why a lot of people complained about Game of Thrones dragging on, especially in the earlier seasons. That never got me down. I always loved, because it would not pay off as well, I think, now, if we didn't have those moments of them walking and talking and everything. Especially like Peter Dinklage's character, like all of those times of them just sitting around and talking, like we wouldn't have those moments. I mean, there's a moment in the latest episode, the season finale, where he just literally walks into a hallway, looks, and then walks away, and he doesn't say a word, and you know what's running through his head.
Yeah.
And it's because we spent all that time with him. We know his character. It makes the moments like when they are interacting with each other. Then maybe some of these characters haven't seen each other for years, and it makes those moments so much better. And I think that if you did like an Elder Scrolls game or something like that, or television show over a movie, that's where you could get those kind of things. After a few seasons, these characters would have really, impactful stories. And that's how you do it.
Yeah.
Then of course you get the guy that says he took an arrow to the knee and all that cool stuff.
Like there's, and here's the other thing. Think about the streaming sales from music. I mean, just, there's so much, there's such an opportunity for great little, like a mini resurgence of like old, like bard type songs. Like, think about that. If you did that right in like a really interesting way, the soundtracks would sell like crazy.
Oh yeah. Even in Game of Thrones, their music, like I remember when, what was it, the Bear and the Lady Fair or something like that, the Bear and the Maiden Fair.
Yeah.
It was a song in the book. It was like a poem or whatever, and they did it in the show, and then they had like it felt like a punk rock band, but it was like a band at the end of the episode. It was the episode with Jaime Lannister, and I won't say what happens, but he.
That's right. I remember that.
Yeah. There's a very shocking thing that happens at the end of the episode where he screams, and then it cuts to black, and then you hear the bear, the maiden fair, and you're just like, what just happened? You're screaming in your head, and this music's playing, and then you realize the music is the same thing they've been singing all season.
Yeah.
Like, there's a rabbit hole you can go down with Game of Thrones if you're rewatching the series, because they talk about the bear and all of that stuff way before any of that stuff.
Yeah.
And the story, and then they talk about it later, I think. Like you hear the soldiers talk about things that you've seen in the earlier seasons, and it's just like, what the fuck? And they're telling us like these like crazy tales or whatever. Oh, it's so good. We gotta take a quick break though. But speaking of Game of Thrones, when we get back, we're gonna be diving into that. Again, you're listening to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM, and we'll see you soon. Welcome back to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM, and all right, so before we get into Game of Thrones, because it's going to be a big spoiler fest, we should probably talk about SummerSlam. Or did we talk about SummerSlam last weekend?
We kind of brushed it, but we didn't really, we ran out of time.
Okay, so let's talk about it before we go into Game of Thrones.
Yeah. I mean, I know we're like a week late, but it's still, it bears talking about. TakeOver especially. TakeOver was a perfect fucking card. That show was awesome, and I don't think of any, none of those matches sucked. Like, even the main event was not stellar. Like, it was oddly, it was kind of disappointing that it wasn't an ultra amazing match. Like, I mean, Nakamura and Joe had, or Balor and Joe had, or even Nakamura and Rude. Like, it didn't have quite the big feel that the NXT title has kind of had. But even then, like, it was still a great match. But right. I mean, it had to follow the Asuka Ember Moon match, which I felt bad for them after that, because that was amazing. That was a hell of a match. And just, Aleister Black and Hideo Itami put on a clinic in how to kick people really hard.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the tag match, NXT's tag division has been on fire since I mean, the Ascension were great, but really, the Revival and DIY are one of the greatest tag team feuds ever.
Yeah.
Bar none. And I mean, I throw that up there with like the Freebirds and the Von Erichs and the old 80s tag feuds that lasted for literally generations. I throw that up there with them because it just was unreal. And that tag division, like, it kind of slumped a little when the Revival got called up and DIY left, but AOP were always booked really strong, and Sanity has really come a long way. And we're gonna start seeing, like, Heavy Machinery and TM61, and they're really rebuilding us. The Street Profits look good. They're really coming along in that tag division again. And Cien Almas and Johnny Gargano. If Asuka and Ember Moon hadn't put on the show that they had, Almas and Gargano would have been match of the night. That was just so wicked good.
Wait, so what happened to DIY?
You forgot? You didn't see that?
No, what happened?
Ciampa turned on Gargano.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Oh, I'm confusing things now.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
That's right. Okay.
But it was such a damn perfect card. And then to see Red Dragon debut, Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly, to see them pop up in the tag scene was amazing. And then, of course, at the end of the night, Adam Cole. I mean, come on. Like, we all knew it was coming because we knew he had signed and we knew he was there, but seeing him in a WWE ring, seeing him in NXT, hell yeah, and standing there with Red Dragon, this is gonna be awesome. This is just gonna be so great.
Oh yeah. Now see, I don't know that much about them because I didn't really watch any of the indie stuff. They're all from Ring of Honor, right?
Right. Yeah. Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly were Red Dragon in Ring of Honor, and it's interesting that Nigel wasn't kind of shushed on calling them out by that name. That kind of thing was interesting.
I mean, I don't know why they don't. It's, it's good for the WWE and it's good for Ring of Honor that they're mentioned.
Yeah, but I so that's awesome. Seeing Adam Cole there is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
It's just I'm excited. I'm genuinely excited again.
Yeah.
So, and I mean NXT's had highs and some slight lows. They haven't really hit a giant dip. I know you can argue parts of it have at times, the tag division especially, but they've rebounded it really nicely. The men's singles division is killing it, and the women's division is gonna be interesting now with Asuka just vacating the title.
Yeah,
that was insane and kind of perfect. Just like I beat everybody. I don't. There's nothing left for me here. Like just
right. Yeah, I love that she went in, took names, kicked ass, and vacated the belt. Never lost once.
It's perfect. It's picture perfect booking of just like how do you build somebody up as this unstoppable badass? Yes. You never have them stopped.
Mm-hmm.
And it was I love that she got a rematch with Ember Moon because they showed that little like kink in the armor, that little break of like she was kind of scared of Ember's finisher, so she shoves the ref, and that sets up the whole like, well, no, you didn't beat me clean, blah 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 blah. So we go to Brooklyn and she takes the finisher and kicks out, and it's just like, okay, well, now what the hell do I have to do? And it turns out what you do is you lose because you just can't beat Asuka.
Yeah.
But it wasn't done in like a cheap like, oh, she kicked out of the finisher, it means nothing. It's like, no, they built it right. They did it right. It was great.
Right. Yeah.
And then SummerSlam, by and large, sucked. Really.
Yeah.
From the opening match that the ushers got to watch, and that was pretty much it. Which was
I didn't see that. Well, what's up with that?
Okay, so there was the 6-man tag with the Miz Taraj and then the Hardys and Jason Jordan. Now they went out and wrestled on the pre-show. So if you had the pre-show, you saw it, and you were pretty much the only ones because there was an odd screw up with ticketing times and what times the doors actually opened and what time was on the email that was sent out saying, hey, here's when all of this goes down. So there was virtually no one in the arena for that match.
How embarrassing.
But they went out and they had it anyway because they're professionals and that's what the hell they do.
Oh my god, no wonder the Miz was so mad.
That's why when he came out on Raw, he was pissed. And I love that they trust him enough to let him just go.
Right.
Because oh man. And he owned that segment and deserved it because oh man.
I saw his Twitter rant too, like, and he's right, like the Intercontinental Championship should have actually been a match for him versus someone on the show, SummerSlam.
Yeah.
And the fact that it wasn't, and then he was put to that pre-show where no one's in the arena, like.
Oh, he was. And here's the thing: he knows how to burn. Like, he's not just gonna go off and get mad and let that be some mad rant. He's gonna work that in with his character, and he's still gonna be pissed, and he's gonna let it out. But it's gonna be done in a way that works. It's not just gonna be him screaming at everybody. Just this kind of angry dude going off on a rant. No, he's gonna have it nailed down right.
Oh yeah.
And then, yeah, everything else was just weird. It was just a weird night with weird booking and weird stuff. Especially the Nakamura match. That was some bullshit. That was just straight up bullshit. I don't mind that Nak lost because of the interference. I mind because first off, it's the same finish that they've done before. It was almost beat for beat exactly the same. It wasn't even interesting. And then he couldn't even hit the Colossus right. He botched his own finisher, and they still counted the 3. They should have let Nak kick out of that one, and then just have him, drag him up and hit it again proper, and then 3. I would have been okay with. That would have been better. I still would have hated that Nak lost, but I would have been. That finish would have been better than the that was just. They just took a shit all over that match. It was just awful, and the finish was just the icing on the cake. It was terrible.
Yeah.
But you had 2 shining moments of the night. The one being when Cesaro decided, no, fuck your beach ball. God bless him for that. That was amazing. And if you're a crowd at a WWE show and you decide to pop a beach ball around, go fuck yourself. Just don't. The whole, we came here to have fun. Okay, but there is a contract implied that goes both ways. You want to bop beach balls around during a Roman Reigns segment, go for it. I don't really care. But you've got the Hardys and Sheamus and Cesaro putting on a damn good match. And that's where you want to get the beach balls out? No, you had that one coming to you.
Right.
And then the Raw main event was pitch perfect. I wouldn't have been able to book that as good as they did, and I sure as hell wouldn't have changed a thing, really. I don't think. I loved that after Braun put Brock through 2 tables, and they're like, one more time. So he doesn't put him through the 3rd table. He flips the 3rd table over on top of him. Beautiful.
Yep.
Absolutely beautiful. And I love now that, Braun's new signature move is the flying office chair.
Yes.
I love it. I love it so much. It was fun the first time it happened on Raw, and then to see it, because you kind of didn't expect it, and then to see it during the SummerSlam match where it really did just kind of get flung out of nowhere. It really was just from off camera, and just bang, there it was. It was great. I'm a little surprised that Brock went over, but the way they did it was fine. I don't have any complaints about the finish. It was a solid match.
I think we all knew that he was gonna win because he was booked for the next. He did the whole I'm gonna retire and quit, or I'm gonna quit if I lose, and then it was leaked that he was booked for the next pay-per-view. So it's that was stupid to do.
Well, but those things are always subject to change, though. There have been plenty of matches in the past that are oh yeah, this is on. Jericho was on the promotional material for the WrestleMania 2000 main event. On the actual posters they sent out to put up, and then they changed that. So, I mean,
what I would have liked is if they were going to have him hold on to the belt, Nakamura should have won. There should have been a championship change of some sort at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
I didn't like that both held on to it.
Yeah, I mean, it happens sometimes. I really liked, though, how the next night on Raw, Strowman came out and just owned Brock.
Oh, yeah.
That was great. To show Brock as everything he went through, and he's not 100%, and then Strowman comes out and is just no, I need to finish what I started. That's how Strowman has been the best booked character in a long time.
Yeah, because he's just a fucking steamroller.
Yeah.
I'm not finished with you. His whole gimmick it's everything that Roman wishes he was.
Yes.
It's the crowd loves him. The crowd has eaten him up. It's been doing his gimmick, and on paper you would think people would hate it. They'd be like, no, this is just a guy that Vince McMahon is pushing. but it's working. It's getting people love him, and I think a lot has to do with the fact that he was doing it to Roman Reigns. So
that helped. That definitely helped for sure. But
that definitely helped. But his whole, if he was doing it to like The Miz, I still think people would be excited. They would be like, yes, just keep destroying these small men. This big giant dude in the ring. You know what I mean? Like, there's something about that's like fun.
And that's the thing. They love to book like, here's this giant, he's unstoppable, and then as soon as he loses on a fluke to somebody who's, you know, like 5'9", then like all that goes away.
He takes it so personally.
Right.
Yeah.
And I just but I love how he's just been, even if he loses, it's never been to somebody you're like, oh, he got beat by, you know, like when his even against the Big Show. The match, he had awesome matches with the Big Show. That's hard to do.
Yeah.
And then that was what was great about that spot, because we've seen the top rope superplex, two big guys breaks the ring. We've seen that a handful of times already. But the spin they put on it when he got up at the end.
Yeah.
That was brilliant. It was a small thing, but it spoke volumes. And then to everything that he's been doing. And I still love when they had Apollo Crews face him a few weeks ago, and Crews was gonna go do that standing moonsault, and Strowman just kicks him out of midair across the ring. That's the kind of thing where you're like, okay, this dude is for real. And you believe it. That's what's great. Not only does nobody believe anything Roman says or does, but it's so bland and boring and rote that nobody cares.
They made it believable that he flipped the ambulance.
Yes. That's like everything that Strowman does. You're like, oh yeah, I buy it. I absolutely believe it. And that's I'm telling you, maybe he beats Brock at No Mercy. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think that's what's going to happen. But
I remember him. Oh, sorry, I didn't interrupt you, but I remember him in an interview talking about how he's friends with the Mountain. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, I stole his lunch one time. Just talking about how they used to work out together. He's like, I stole his lunch, and that was it. That's all he said about it.
Oh,
it made me laugh so hard, because I'm just like, that's all you have to say about your friendship with this guy who's on Game of Thrones and this giant mountain, because they both work in competition with each other.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I stole his lunch one time. That was it.
And that's the story. You can fill in the blanks from there, because then you have to imagine, what is his lunch like? Does he have a little lunch box? Does he have a bag, or does he carry like a giant cooler of shit around?
If you follow him on Instagram, and that's literally all he posts is him going into Denny's and ordering everything. Literally, him and Bray Wyatt ride together, and so they went to like a barbecue place, and he literally had a cow, a pig, everything you can think of on the menu, and he's like, look what I mean, look at my lunch date, and it's Bray Wyatt. He has like half of what Braun Strowman has. He's just like, I'm gonna eat, and then eat some more, and then he hangs up the Instagram story.
Nice.
Whoa, we run out of time, so next week we're gonna get all into Game of Thrones. We're gonna have a giant segment about that. It'll at least give us time to kind of rewatch some segments that we like, to dive into it and dissect it and go over it. But make sure you make sure you subscribe to us. Go to iTunes, give us a review. Make sure you go to our Facebook group. Again, it's just We Geek Podcast. We're here at 9 p.m. Eastern on the N.FM every Wednesday. Go to our Twitters at We Geek Podcast, at The Logan Witt, at Adam Estep. And we'll see you next time, Captain.